Good early morning to you once again, everybody. Meteorologist Mike Griffith for East Coast Weather Association. And we have some talking points here this Monday, early morning. And we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery here across the United States, and there are some significant storms still making their way across Illinois and Indiana at this hour. There was some pretty significant hail up there in Minnesota with these storms. This is going to be a pretty big convective complex thunderstorms here. So high winds are going to be likely across Illinois down into the tip of Indiana, and even Kentucky, maybe down to Tennessee as the day advances or the morning advances. These could be over by sunrise. So these could hold together into this area down here, but not sure. They might die off by the time they get down here anyway. Looking like a rainy day and cloudy day across Charleston and Myrtle Beach up into Wilmington and even the Outer Banks as a stationary front is stalled across here, even northern Florida, down into Louisiana and all the way back into Texas there. This is all drier and chillier air than normal. Not chilly, but a little bit more tolerable for summertime. Not as hot as it is out west here. You can see this is a big high pressure system. And the thunderstorms and the showers out here just kind of follow this clockwise flow pattern as you would expect on a ridge, because that's the way the air circulates around ridges, which is clockwise. So lots of moisture down here in the Gulf of Mexico as the front stalled out. More showers and thunderstorms today. South Carolina into Georgia into Florida as well. Daily thunderstorms down there. It's going to remain wet. There's a bunch of little disturbances moving onshore into Florida. Another wet day across Miami with showers and thunderstorms across that area down there as well. And with all the flow being off the ocean, thunderstorms tracking into western Florida throughout the afternoon hours. It's kind of like a daily occurrence here. So you're going to see the sunshine and nice skies in the beginning of the day, and later in the day, cloud over, and we start to get lightning down here in Florida. So remember, stay safe and head inside if it starts to lightning and thunder. If you can hear thunder, head indoors, as we don't want any fatalities down here. It's the highest lightning strike state in the country here, so we don't want any issues with that. Let's take a look at our national radar and see what's going on here as far as precipitation. Here's the big storms across northeast Iowa and heading into Illinois early this morning. Here's some of the showers that are still remaining with the stationary front that stalled out across the eastern Carolinas here from Charleston into Myrtle Beach and the Wilmington. This whole area in here is going to remain unsettled today, and lots of showers. Some rain heading into northern New England there, including Vermont and upstate New York. So we could be seeing a lot more of this taking over as we go into the day today. So it's going to remain very unsettled here across much of the coastal areas of the east, except for maybe for Virginia here. They're looking like they're going to maybe remain out of the shower area and the bad weather today, but if the sun comes out and it heats things up here pretty significantly, we could see something around Norfolk today. So keep an eye on the sky there. Down around Texas, a little mesoscale system here with thunderstorms pushing offshore. Probably a decent light show for some of the coastal residents down here overnight. And that's pretty much the same story across the Gulf states here in much of the southeast. Across the west, we have a lot of unsettled weather here around this area of high pressure, which is centered right here. And this is going to be much of the activity across the mountains, scattered showers and thunderstorms, rain, really just kind of moving clockwise. And this is going to be the pattern here, at least for the foreseeable future. So not as dry because of the showers and thunderstorms, which is a good thing, but there are going to be some more fire issues out there in Southern California because they're going to get dry because of all the heat out there. Let's take a look at the upper air patterns and see what's going on as far as disturbances here. We're in a trough in the eastern part of the United States, and no, I didn't want to go there. Let's see if I can get my map back. Okay, that was my old band's page, so that's kind of awkward. Okay, so we're in a trough pattern here in the eastern part of the United States. And this is a pretty significant upper level low here that has taken over the Hudson Bay of Canada. And it's helping to carve out this trough pattern in the jet stream across the east, which is keeping us tolerable as far as July goes. We don't have the screws put to us as far as high pressure goes in the east, as they say. We're not as screwed with the heat and the humidity, but the heat's going to be staying out west there as we go into this week. Big old area of high pressure there across the Oklahoma, Kansas, and even out to the Four Corners. As I forecasted this about a week ago, this is going to be the upper pattern here. So this ridge actually will start to take over a little bit into the east part of the United States, especially the southeast, temporarily as we go into Tuesday. It starts to warm up there across the southeast, although we're going to remain unsettled with this little bit of energy here as with the front stalled out. So it's going to be showery and thunderstormy across the eastern South Carolina, eastern North Carolina as well throughout the middle of this week anyway. And then as we're going into Wednesday and Thursday, a nice ridge develops here across the southeast, remaining a little bit below average here in the northeast with clouds and some unsettled weather and even some thunderstorms here. But across much of the country here, we're going to remain in a normal July-like pattern. Nothing really unusual. It's hot and sticky across the southeast. Normal for July. Nothing crazy. No upper 90s or 100s or even mid-90s. Probably the low 90s here is what we're going to be looking at through the late week, mid to late week here. Again, it's going to be much more tolerable than it was this time last year. All the heat shifts out to the western part of the United States as we go into this weekend. And once again, this weekend, the 16th and 17th, starts to carve out another trough here, so it won't be quite as warm, but the humidity will be in effect here much of this week, including Monday, Tuesday. The humidity returns across much of the southeast, hot and dry across the desert southwest here, Death Valley and anywhere in Arizona. It's going to be hotter out there than it will be anywhere else in the country. Pretty big upper low here across the Hudson Bay. And if we can keep this pattern into wintertime, look out, because it will be on. This is why I've been saying it's going to be a bad winter, because we've been in this trough in the east and ridge out west. Last year, we were in a ridge in the east and a trough out west, which pretty much carried into the winter time as well. So looking like that ridge is going to stay out there in the west all the way through the 18th. Here comes this tropical system here. This is a nasty little sucker. If it can develop, if it can get into an environment where there's no upper level shear with winds changing direction with height or strong upper level winds, look out there, because the screws are going to be put to Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, even the Bahamas, Leeward Islands, maybe even Cuba and the southern tip of Florida, which is where Miami is. And that little sucker down there, this big ridge right here in the central part of the country of high pressure, it's going to be hot across much of the nation's midsection. This heat will spill all the way into the southeast. This is around the 19th or so. And here comes this little tropical feature, which could be a hurricane, making a beeline right for Fort Lauderdale. So that is bad news for them. And that is check this out here. That is a direct hit on eastern Florida around the 19th or 20th, 18th, 19th, 20th. And then that thing goes into the Gulf of Mexico, which hurricanes like to do after they hit Florida, and heads right for New Orleans. That would be kind of crazy. Still remaining a big ridge, mainly in the west part of the United States. Eastern part of the United States, still seasonable. Nothing really to write home about. Only thing we're going to have to watch over the course of next week is this tropical system and which path it's going to take and where it's going to end up. That's all for this segment of East Coast Weather Association. I am meteorologist Mike Griffith. Have a great week, everybody.